couple times, and even if it wasn't, I would hope that most people in the world right now are aware of how things are. One of the most important things that we can do is gather in community like this, and that's scientific now. We've always known that as human beings. It's just kind of how we do things, or we gather in community. But I've been reading a little bit about trauma and how trauma works and how we process it on a neurological level. Because a lot of patients that come see me, they're not coming to me for trauma, but trauma is a major barrier to their progress in terms of resolving whatever. And they may not even notice it sometimes, right? They could have some asthma or something like that, but it's ultimately stored in the body. And so there's a lot of work that's being done in these areas. And you have pens, or I can send out a list later of things I talk about. There's books like Bessel van der Kolk is a PhD. If anybody recognizes any of these names, like give a shout or something, because it makes me feel like I'm not just talking to myself. But he talks about how the physical body stores difficulty, stores trauma, stores our stresses. And we all understand that we feel stress in our body, right? But big events get stored, and they can get stored on deep level. And until those things are processed, they're going to still be there. And another one of his colleagues, Stephen Porges, he talks about what's called the Beil theory. Everybody's heard of fight or flight, right? So fight or flight is one part of our nervous system, how it functions, and we're all aware of that instantaneous. We see something in the news, or we're out in an event, and something happens, and the heart races and all those things. That's one aspect of how our nervous system responds. That's right. It's called the sympathetic nervous system. And the corollary to that, the counterpart to that, is called the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And that's the one that is more of a rest and relax function, right? And so this is the reason why when we do yoga, when we meditate, when we just take deep breaths, things like that, that supports our parasympathetic nervous system function. But what this new research is showing is that there's actually two components to that parasympathetic function. One is that comes from those activities that we do, like breath, slowing our breath down, and I'll do a little bit of breath work in a little bit if everybody's okay with that. And all those things. But another equally important part of that comes from just physically being in proximity to other human beings. It's hardwired in us. And so the thing that Roger said and a couple other people said before about how important it is to come together, especially today after what happened. There's really no better thing that people could be doing to get through this. And just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as the work that you do. And I know, this is community activism, right? It's the nature of the work that's done here. So I don't have to talk too strongly about that, but just know that there is, on a empirical level, on a scientific level, there is value to that. There is healing from that that's coming. And just if you're finding yourself having a hard time as things progress, because unfortunately I think we all recognize that this probably isn't the last, right? It's just the nature of where things are. As things keep coming up, keep reaching out. As I said before, reach out, put it out there. Don't retreat. I saw a woman this morning that she was having a hard time with everything. She is Jewish, and she was having a really hard time. And I had to talk with her about what's an appropriate way to react. And I wasn't planning on having this be a group thing or whatever. I'm actually not skilled to manage a group this big, so that would get pretty challenging for me. But I think there's different reactions, I would imagine. Some people just immediately got on the phone and called their loved ones, right? And other people just went in the kitchen and started cooking for whatever reason. Whatever comes up for you, that's the right thing. Right? That's the right way to manage and get through this process. so I'm a holistic doctor. I did my training out in Portland, Oregon. I was out there 15 years. Had a little activist stuff going on out there, so Occupy, the war in Iraq and all that stuff. If I was here in White Plains, which is where I'm from originally, if I had been living here at the time, I would have been here with all of you, but I was out there in Portland. In our training, we talk about holism. That each of us is an individual on every level. We talk about our physical being, our emotions, our spirit, our place in the world, and the things that surround us. All those make us who we are. And we need to acknowledge that and honor those things and support them. In the Chinese medicine training that I had, so I'm an acupuncturist. I wear a couple hats. As an acupuncturist, the underlying idea in acupuncture is this idea of yin and yang. Right, everybody's familiar with that? This guy right there. Like I said, there was a whole PowerPoint slide about it, but hopefully you can see it. If not, everybody knows this symbol, right? And it's yang, by the way, not yang. Just
Yin and yang.
So yin and yang, that really can explain everything. If I don't say there's only one thing that you remember from tonight, it's that, because there's a lot of things that I think are important. But the whole concept of yin and yang is the idea of balance. And that is fundamentally important for activism. Yang is the fire, right? Yang is the brightness, it's the energy that gives us the ability to go out in the world and make change and do things. And when there's so much going on in the world, so much injustice, so much trouble, I would imagine that's one thing that everybody's here gathered for tonight, is feeling a need to go out and do something about that. And that's really important. The yin is about stability. Yin is nourishment. Right? Yin is the foundation. It's our Mother Earth. She's yin. And we need to have both of those. We need to have those in our lives. That you can't go out there and rail against, pick your target, because there are many, and just keep doing it without taking care of yourself. I'm sure, especially for people that have been around for quite a long time, you've seen friends and colleagues that are not still showing up at these meetings because they burned out. Burnout's a huge, huge thing. And it happens because people are not taking care of themselves and not taking the time to support their needs. Right? It's equally as important to nourish yourself, to honor the things that you need for your life, as it is to get out there and get that newsletter out, or that campaign, or the whatever it is that is being done. Right? There's I read a quote or something. It says, the goal is to burn bright but not burn out. Right? And that's the gist of the work that I do, trying to help people. On this list, these things are pretty basic. I try to keep them simple, because at the very least, if you're not able to do everything, you can pick one or two. In a holistic way, everything is connected in a circle, and so there's no beginning or end. You could really start anywhere, for lack of anywhere better to start. I'll start at the top. So physical activity. This is something I talk about with people every day. It's one of the biggest issues in our society. How many of you all sit at a computer for work? So it's hard. We're physical beings. We're animals, right? We're human beings, but we are living animals. We're not sedentary. We're not plants. We're not rocks. We're animals. We're meant to move, and when we don't, there are measurable detriments that happen to us. And as we get older, those things compound. Right? It's not as easy. There's a study that just came out, and I had to dig up on the thing here. It's in my head. There's a study that just came out last Thursday, showing that being sedentary, not getting regular physical activity, did anybody see this one? More detrimental to your health than smoking. That rates of mortality, people dying from not moving regularly, has a 3 to 5 times increased risk of mortality than smoking. That's mind blowing. And it's something that we're all part of. It's part of our lives now. We do these things, and that's great and all that. But just encourage people, if you're not just getting up regularly from your computer, just every hour, every 2 hours, whatever, it's real easy. Just take a walk around your office. If the weather's nice, go outside. These things are simple, but if you're not doing them, they really add up. People have heard about steps, what number of steps you're supposed to take. How many, you guys know? Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the what I've heard and what has been said out there is, they talk about 10,000 steps a day. That's an incredibly high number for somebody that's at a computer all day. If you've got a mobile, a standing job, even if you're working behind a counter at a store or something, like that's okay, you can do that. But if you're just in a chair, getting 10,000 is very difficult. What I usually recommend to people is aim more at 5,000, because that's doable. And the benefits between 5,000 and 10,000 are some, but it's not nearly as much as between 1,000 and 5,000.
How many minutes is that?
5,000?
Yeah.
It's probably, if you're doing some basic walking, like you have to walk from your house to your car, and like you go into the grocery store and back, so all that adds up to a little bit. On top of that, it's about half an hour. So it's something that's doable. It's something that at lunch 15 minutes, after dinner or after work 15 minutes, or I was just saying having a dog is who was somebody Andrew was saying before. Having a dog is fantastic for many levels. One, not the least of which is it gets you outside. There's also obviously the value of that and everything. Yes.
I have something I call my pastrami rule.
Okay.
After pastrami or new red meat, I'll require myself to do a minimum somewhere between 4 to 12 push-ups and a brief walk, at least a brief walk up and down Merrick Avenue. Well, it's really token. It's the idea of being in the frame of mind to come from moving around.
Right.
I feel tired at the moment.
Right.
But when I move around, I actually feel better, less tired. It's the minimum. Most people do more than that. I'm saying this recognition of eating red meat that requires some kind of digestive process.
Sure.
And a lot of people expand to a lot of other things. It's good to follow it. The idea of a minimum of mandatory exercise. If we have to ritualize in order to do it, then we have to ritualize it.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. It's best if you can integrate it, as with all things, it's best if you can integrate it organically into your life. But if you have to make it a ritual, and I gotta get my steps in, all right, here we just to do it, it is better than not. And especially if you can do it outside. That's one of the big topics I talk about. I've actually published a couple papers on these things. It's just the benefits of being outside. Like nature therapy, people have seen things in the news, maybe ecotherapy, forest bathing. People have seen maybe something about that. There is a measurable benefit that we get from being in connection with the earth. My background is biology. That was my undergrad. I was an evolution major. And so, sorry if anybody in here doesn't believe in evolution. I don't think that's a problem in this crowd, thankfully. Y'all are smart people. So the way that I see things, and the reason I came to natural medicine is I was looking at, well, how are we as organisms, how do we evolve? What are we optimally adapted for? And it's not these lives that we're living today, right? our bodies, our societies, or whatever, or hunter-gatherer, tribal, like out, I say all the time, our ancestors were on an extended camping trip, forever. I mean, there was no inside for them, right? And so that's what our bodies feel as home. If you ever go, I'm a big outdoor guy. I go camping a lot and all that stuff, and just sitting around a fire, that's primal in us, because that's a million years of evolution is adapted us to find that as supportive. And so just getting outside, especially like if you're doing that computer work, the screens, a lot of stuff about them, a lot of stuff about how draining they are, how dissociating they are. That even though there's information coming through a screen, it's not the same. Yeah. There's work specifically about reading comprehension and reading memory. Your brain kind of switches off. It does a different thing when you're reading data on a screen versus when you're reading it paper in ink.
Interesting.
And so
I didn't know that.
one way to combat some of that is, again, just getting outside, getting surrounded, by the trees. You've got some water. Water is always a good thing to connect to. Just the land. Our lives are very hectic, right? They're very busy, especially reading the news as we do. It's constantly putting us into that sympathetic state, into that fight or flight. Oh my God! Now there's this. Now there's this. Now there's this. Taking a break from all of that and getting outside, getting grounded with the earth, and just letting her be quiet. Be quiet with her. It can help restore us. There's actually a whole line of research that talks about restoration potential of natural environments. And I can go on and on about all the different tests that have been done. Blood pressure, cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Right? Cortisol is probably one of the biggest factors in chronic disease in our society right now, because everybody's got elevated cortisol because everybody is stressed, and especially because of everything that's going on in the news right now. It's just getting worse, and so let me see. I've been talking for a little bit. Anybody falling asleep yet? You are? Okay, sorry. Yes.
But it seems to me that one of the big problems with even when people are being physical,
Yeah.
they're still connected to some device.
Yeah.
And when I walk my dog, I have to pay attention to every single thing she does.
Yeah.
Because if it's up to her, she'll I'm going to go rolling that stuff over there. But no, we have to walk. And I have to let her stop and read the P-mail.
Oh yeah.
But we still need to get our walk on, But I see people, they take their dogs out, they put them on extendable leashes, they get on their cell phone, they don't know what their dogs are doing. The dogs are running in the poison ivy, and I'm saying, well, you deserve it, because the dog doesn't care, and they're going to get it, and oh well. But, what are they getting out of that? That's not healthy for the people.
It's not, these things that we have.